If you're in your 40s or 50s and you've suddenly noticed that your old fat loss strategies just stopped working, you're not alone. Most women are told to just eat less and move more. But menopause fundamentally changes how your body responds to stress, food, and exercise, and almost nobody explains how or why. Did you know that menopause isn't one single phase? There are 4 distinct stages, and each one affects your hunger, your hormones, energy, and fat loss in completely different ways. And here's something even fewer people know. Menopause itself is technically one day, though the day you hit 12 months without a period. Hi, I'm Zita, a fitness and nutrition coach, and with my partner Terry, a neuropsychology and body image coach, we help women and men over 40 escape diet prison, understand how nutrition works with their bodies so they can finally get strong and confident again through neuroscience, nutrition, and movement. So if you're tired of guessing, blaming yourself, or thinking something is wrong with your body, there's not, hit that like button and subscribe, because today I'm breaking down the real 4 stages of menopause, fat loss, and what actually works in each stage. So stage 1, the perimenopause, the roller coaster stage. Perimenopause is the longest and most chaotic stage, and most women don't even realize they are in it. So here are the top 10 and most common clinically recognized symptoms of perimenopause that you may be experiencing. Irregular periods, hot flashes and night sweats, sleep disturbances, mood changes, irritability, anxiety, increased stress sensitivity, weight gain, especially around the belly, worsening PMS or PMS-like symptoms, breast tenderness, low libido or changes in sexual desire, and vaginal dryness or discomfort. But scientifically, here's what's happening. Estrogen swings widely, sometimes extremely high, sometimes extremely low. Progesterone steadily declines, and these fluctuations impact the HPA axis, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, which is your body's central stress response system. So sleep becomes disrupted, insulin sensitivity drops, cortisol increases more easily, and research shows that these changes contribute to all of those symptoms that I just mentioned. Plus, you may experience unpredictable hunger, cravings, slower workout recovery, and maybe increased inflammation as well. So now let's talk about how this stage affects fat loss. So this stage is less about calories and more about hormone and nervous system regulation. What works best here is prioritizing sleep. And now you're probably thinking, but Zita, I keep waking up because of night sweats. So how on earth do I prioritize sleep? So first of all, I highly recommend getting a full hormonal blood panel. It gives you direction, clarity, and a baseline. You can't support what you don't understand. So your doctor will advise on how to go about HRT. However, if you cannot take HRT or prefer not to take it, there are several science-backed practical steps you can start tonight to minimize night sweats and improve sleep quality, which in turn are going to help you with the fat loss. So the night sweats happen because your internal thermostat becomes hypersensitive during perimenopause. So your thermoneutral zone narrows, meaning even a tiny rise in cortisol or body temperature triggers a heat surge. So here's what actually helps. Cool your sleeping environment. A cold room somewhere between 16 to 18 Celsius or 60 to 65 Fahrenheit widens that thermoneutral zone and reduces the intensity of night sweats. Number 2, balance your blood sugar before bed. So night wakings often happen because fluctuating estrogen affects insulin sensitivity. So a meal rich in protein and fiber stabilizes your glucose and reduces 2 to 3 a.m. cortisol spikes. Number 3, switch off your stress response before sleep. A dysregulated HPA axis makes night sweats even worse. Just 2-3 minutes of slow diaphragmatic breathing helps lower cortisol and calm your nervous system so you stay asleep longer. And this is, of course, on top of your sleep hygiene routine, including no blue light before bed and having a consistent sleep schedule. Number 4, avoid caffeine after midday. Your ability to metabolize caffeine slows with age, and hormonal changes, even one afternoon coffee, can really disrupt your deep sleep. Number 5, choose breathable bedding and moisture wicking sleepwear. Now, these seem like really minor things, but they do make a huge difference. Next, incorporate 2 to 4 strength training sessions per week and really prioritize strength training over high intensity cardio. Make sure you hit your protein targets, 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if you're 120 pounds, consume about 120 grams of protein per day. But note that this is like a really general advice and it really depends on individual several factors. Ditch junk food and takeaways and foods high in sugar and fat, and really prioritize whole foods so you can stabilize your blood sugar. Daily de-stress reduction to calm cortisol is also crucial, because this is the stage where most women think they're failing and there's something wrong with them, but it's just your biology shifting. So now let's talk about stage 2, the menopause, the 1-day pause. Menopause is literally one single day, the diagnostic milestone. So now you're probably thinking, if stage 2 is only 1 day, why do we talk about it as a stage? Because physiologically, the hormonal shifts don't just suddenly stop on that 1 day. Okay, so that's not how the body works. The period around this marker behaves differently than perimenopause and differently than later, postmenopause. That's why coaches, educators, and some clinicians treat it as a practical stage for fat loss strategy, even though biologically it's a transition point, not a full phase. But physiologically, the effects of this day form the transition into the next stage include the following. Estrogen remains low, insulin resistance increases, recovery becomes even slower, muscle mass naturally declines faster, and fat tend to redistribute to the abdomen. The study of women's health across the nation, the SWAN, was one of the largest and most important longitudinal studies ever conducted on women transitioning through midlife. So research from the SWAN study and also GCEM, which is a top medical journal, demonstrates that with estrogen loss, visceral fat increases significantly around the organs, muscle mass declines, metabolic flexibility decreases. So metabolism does not crash, it simply becomes more dependent on muscle and movement to stay efficient. And this is why I keep shouting this from the rooftops, that you guys need proper targeted strength training. It's a must if you want to have a quality life, if you want to feel great. So this is what works. Hit your protein goals. During menopause, your body becomes less efficient at building and maintaining muscle. Aiming for that 1 gram per pound of body weight becomes essential. And avoid extreme calorie deficits. Walking daily to enhance insulin sensitivity and minimize high stress cardio sessions. Stage 3, early post-menopause, the recalibration stage. So this is 1 to 3 years after menopause. Hormones stabilize here, no more wild swings. This is actually one of the best fat loss windows because your system becomes more predictable again. Research shows that muscle loss risk remains high, so remember those strength training sessions. Appetite regulation improves. Fat loss is, of course, it's possible, but requires structured resistance training and proper fueling. Insulin sensitivity begins to improve with lifestyle changes. So what works best in this stage is progressive overload strength training, so 2 to 4 sessions per week, mild calorie deficits, something between 200 to 400 calories, high fiber, high protein meals, proper hydration, and gut health. These are all linked to estrogen metabolism. So consistent meal timing to reduce glucose spikes, and your body becomes far more responsive when given the right stimuli. And stage 4, the late post-menopause, the longevity stage. So this is 3 years after menopause. Hormone levels and symptoms stabilize in this stage. Fat loss is still possible, just a little bit slower. Key physiological realities are bone density declines faster without loading. Muscle protein synthesis is reduced, so heavier lifting is crucial because protein needs remain high in late post-menopause because muscle retention becomes even more important. So really hit that 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Inflammation can increase without lifestyle support, and visceral fat becomes easier to store unless managed by targeted movement and nutrition. So what works here in this stage? Heavy strength training as a non-negotiable, 2 to 4 times per week, daily movement, that includes your steps, your mobility, and some light cardio, protein at every meal, and managing inflammation. So sleep, fiber, omega-3s, blood sugar control, these are essential. Prioritizing consistency over intensity. And regardless of which stage you are at, your focus should shift from harder fat loss to building the strongest, longest lasting version of yourself. So next, I want you to check out this video where I explain how to lose menopause belly fat in 30 days at home.